before age 7, both hemispheres work at exactly the same time. It's called hemisync.
The programs that we acquired in the first 6 years shape how we live our life. But most all of us, have received a program of not good enough, not the best we can be. What parents tell us, we become. So if parents tell us we are smart and bright and lovely and wonderful, that goes into the program. But if we are told we are not nice people, or we're not smart, or we're not pretty, or we're not good, that goes into the program. So for example, in a store, when a child is throwing a tantrum because it wants a toy, and then the parents say, "You do not deserve the toy," then that is the program, "I do not deserve." But once it's in the subconscious, it's recorded like a tape player, and the rest of your life, the subconscious will play, "I do not deserve, I do not deserve." Now think about it this way. You have a tape player, and I give you a cassette with a program. You put the tape in and you push play. And the program is going, you say, "I don't like the program." Then you go up to the tape player and you say, "Change the program, change the program." How much yelling at the tape player will cause the program to change? First we talk, then we yell, then we get mad, then we ask God to change the tape. This is the bigger monkey wrench in the system, and that is, we had started off with the fundamental belief that the conscious and subconscious were just the unity of a single mind. So if the conscious mind became aware of something, then the subconscious mind should, of course, follow along with it as well, because they're both together. And here's the very important part. The two minds work together, but they're not the same thing. They have different functions, and they learn in different ways. That's the critical part. Conscious mind, being creative, can learn in a creative fashion. Conscious mind can read a self-help book, and after one reading go, "Oh yeah, I've been educated. I know how I should do it this way, and my life could be really good if I understood this." And then you say, "Well, I just read the book and I understand how it all works, and yet my life is still exactly the same." You can go to the lecture, you can read the book, you can watch the video, you can even just go, "Aha." And the conscious mind, being creative, can learn just from simply that. Read the book, it learned. I go, "What about subconscious?" I go, here's your problem. It's a habit mind. I said, "Well, how do you create a habit?" I go, reading the book once, it's not a habit. So what's the point? The self-help book you read was picked up information-wise, educated, and enhanced your conscious awareness, and yet didn't touch any of your subconscious programs. You have the same behavior you had before you read the book, after you read the book. Why? Conscious mind learns by reading the book. Subconscious habit, you don't learn from that one reading of the book. So the conscious mind, subconscious mind learn in different ways. How can I teach the subconscious mind? How many of us talk to ourselves and say, "Oh, come on, Bruce, don't do that. That's such a stupid thing." And I'm talking to myself to try to change a behavior. And it's very frustrating, because the more I talk at myself, the less the behavior is changing. And the more I talk, the more angry I get with myself, because I'm not listening to my own suggestions. And then I ask people to stop for a moment. I say, "You're talking to yourself. Who are you talking to?" The subconscious mind is like a tape recorder, for a very simple reason. There's nobody in there to respond to your new wishes and your new desires. There's your problem. Trying to talk yourself into change is not going to work, because the subconscious mind has nobody to listen to your story. So I said, "Well, how does it change?" I said, "Well, how does it learn?" And here's the 3 things to rewrite your subconscious. Number 1, how did it learn in the first 7 years, the programmable period? I say, the brain was in a low vibrational frequency called theta, which is hypnosis. So if I use hypnosis, I can download a program. I can say, "Yes, you can. That's how you can do it." So that's one way of acquiring a program. I said, "Well, the first 6 or 7 years, that's brain of a child is predominantly operating in theta hypnosis, but now you're older, now what do you do?" I go, "Well, here's an interesting fact. The vibration of theta is a low vibration. It's below consciousness, which is alpha. And a higher vibration in alpha is beta, which is like schoolroom studying, work mind, work consciousness. And so there's higher vibration is beta. The next one down is more calm, is alpha. When you go down below alpha, theta, which is the hypnosis or imagination phase as well, because children in that theta period, first 7 years,
mix the real world and the imaginary world seamlessly, and that's because theta is imagination and reality mix. And then below theta is one lower vibration called delta, which is absolute sleep.
Twice a day, your brain goes through a period of theta vibrational activity. Twice a day, your brain is prepared to download information through hypnosis. I say, well, when does that occur? Well, remember, there are vibrational frequencies that ramp up. When you're sleeping, you're at the lowest vibrational frequency called delta. As you start to wake up, but you're not fully awake, that's twilight reverie. That's where you're just waking up and everything. You're still in a dream world, you're in the real world, you're mixing the two. That's a period called theta. So you go from dead sleep, delta, as you begin to wake, the vibrations start to go up and you're in theta. So there's a period of theta where hypnosis can occur. But as you get more awake, theta gets to a higher vibration. Alpha, that's calm consciousness. You're just waking up. You're doing your routine chores of getting ready to leave the house. And by the time you're getting ready to go to work or at work, your brain ramps from alpha, calm conscious, to beta, which is the active consciousness that we usually engage in the busy world in which we live. Well, then you come back home. Well, you've been operating in beta at work, and guess what? You come home, you start to calm down, your brain slips into the lower vibrational frequency, alpha, calm consciousness, and as you start to get ready to go to bed, guess what? From alpha, it drops down to theta as you start to fall off to go to sleep. And when you finally are in sleep, you go from theta to delta. So that means as you're going to sleep, as you're going from the alert state to the sleep state, you also pass through theta. So twice a day, your brain is engaged in theta. On the way in waking up, going from delta to higher vibrations, you pass through theta. On the way of going to sleep, you go from higher vibrations to delta, and again pass through theta. So twice a day, your brain is in a state where it is in a state of hypnosis theta. And this is where you can use subliminal tapes to reprogram your subconscious mind. As you go to bed, if you put earphones on with subconscious programming to change whatever behaviors you want to change, as you're going to bed, those earphones on your head, as you go into theta, your alpha consciousness is now disappearing. You're in theta, and in that period of theta, which is twilight reverie, the recording of the tape is being downloaded straight into the subconscious. And that's how subliminal tapes work. So if you want to change a program, you can select a tape that will have the program that you desire to put into your mind. And every night as you go to bed, just put the earphones on, and you will be in a process of self-hypnosis. Hypnosis is indeed the first way the subconscious mind learns. But after you pass 6 or 7 years of age, the subconscious mind learns in a different way, and that is called habituation. Meaning, if you repeat something and repeat it and repeat it, the subconscious mind will download it and make it a habit. So, for example, you wanted to learn the ABCs. How did you learn the ABCs? You started A, B, C, D, E, and then you couldn't remember, and then you started A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you repeat it, and finally you get to Z. And guess what? After repeating the alphabet hundreds of times, there's a point where now it's part of the subconscious. So guess what? It's now downloaded in your mind. If I ask you to give me the sequence of the alphabet, you can simply rattle off unconsciously A through Z without even thinking about it. Why? You created a habit that downloaded the alphabet. So, after you're 6 or 7, and you want to change programming your life, a way of doing it is the conventional way, is creating a habit, repeating something on almost a religious level. Let me just make it clear. A sticky note on the refrigerator is not a habit. A sticky note on the refrigerator is more or less a wish. Every time you look at it, I wish that would be true, but that's not a habit. A habit means you have to do something and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. That's the way you learn everything after you're 7, and that's how you learn how to drive a car, for example, or the work that you do, or whatever activities you get involved with. When you repeat them, they become habits in the subconscious mind. A third way, which is a more recent understanding and a more effective way of changing
subconscious programming is through belief change modalities or energy psychology. These are collectively processes by which you open up the mind into a state of super learning, where you can download information virtually instantaneously and rewrite programs in a matter of 10 minutes even. A program that's been affecting your whole life, you can rewrite that using these new belief change modalities and creating downloads of new behaviors in matters of minutes. Again, it's tantamount to super learning. You say, what's super learning? I say, well, maybe you've seen a demonstration where a person can open up a book and they read the book. As fast as they move their finger down the page, they read the page. And so they're flipping through the pages. Guess what? Super learning. You can use that process to download a new belief in 5 minutes, 7 minutes. And you can walk away with a whole new program. Habituation, self-hypnosis, time element. There's a time element involved. But these energy psychologies, time elements down to minutes. You have 2 hemispheres in your head, a left and a right hemisphere. Yeah. And we know that functionally they are different traits associated with each hemisphere. So my left hemisphere is associated with logic and details. Yeah. My right hemisphere is associated with emotions and big pictures. So I say, oh, if I look at a brick wall with my left hemisphere, it sees every brick making up the wall. Mm-hmm. If I look at the brick wall with my right hemisphere, all I see is the brick wall. I don't notice the individual bricks. I see the whole wall. If I'm in my left hemisphere, then everything I do is based on logic and makes sense because it's logic. If I'm in my right hemisphere, it's based on emotion. Okay, I said, well, guess what? Before age 7, both hemispheres work at exactly the same time. It's called hemisync, hemisphere synchronization. Yeah. Hemisphere synchronization is super learning. That's how a child can be 3 years old, live in a family with 3 different languages. Yep. And guess what? A 3-year-old's going to learn 3 different languages as separate entities, each unto themselves, different vocabulary, different grammar. They learn that at 3. I say, after 7, the brain goes into brain dominance. So during the day, sometimes you're more in the left, and like a wave. Yeah. Sometimes you're more in the left, and later in the same day you're more in the right. And then later you're more in the left. So sometimes you're more logical and sometimes you're more emotional, depending on where your wave is. What's the point? After age 7, both hemispheres are not in synchronization. And I say, what's the consequence? I say, a 3-year-old can learn 3 languages at the same time. You get an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, you say, I want to teach you a new language. And all of a sudden it's like, one new language is a bitch. Learning is impaired when you're not in sync. If you want to get super learning, you have to do a process to get both right and left hemispheres to start working together. Otherwise, I'm trying to change my program. Oh yeah, but I'm in my logic mind. I go, what's the problem? I say, you're not affecting the emotional consequence of that problem. You're just talking about the logical consequence. Or I'm on the emotional side of my mind trying to deal with a problem, but my logical brain is not involved with dealing with a problem. You need both of them simultaneously to make super learning. So there are exercises that engage the right and left hemispheres. And when you're in those exercises, you can download a new belief in minutes and walk away. But now comes a very important issue. What are the programs you have to change in your subconscious mind? Especially important is the fact that most of these programs were introduced into you even during the last stage of pregnancy, the last trimester, in the first 6 or 7 years of your life. So I say to you, well, tell me about the programs that you learned when you were 1 year old. Tell me about the programs you learned when you were 2 years old. And you go, I don't know, I wasn't consciously aware of those things. I go, yeah, because consciousness started more around 6 or so. So I say, well, how do you know then the programs that you have? Here's the fun part of the whole thing. Science has revealed that we operate our lives 5% of the time from the conscious mind, and 95% of the time our behaviors are controlled by the programs in the subconscious mind. What does it mean? It's simple. Your life is essentially a printout of your subconscious programs. That's what you're operating 95% of the time. So you want to know what the programs are? It's very simple. Look at your life. Look at your life, and here's how simple it is. Everything you like that comes into your life easily, how did it get there? And the answer is you have a program to support that.
Everything you want that you have to work hard at, put effort into, sweat over, struggle, why are you working so hard? Answer, inevitably, you have a program that doesn't support that. And so what you want the program that gives you what you want. So you make a statement that is positive present tense. I am healthy. I am lovable. I'm whatever. And in those super learning moments, you can download those beliefs. And then when you're not paying attention, guess what? You're not playing destructive beliefs. You're playing beliefs that support you. So you can create a honeymoon of beliefs, the way you want your life to be perfect. Download those beliefs, and whether you're conscious or playing the automatic behavior, you're still going to the same end, happily ever after.